Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well and you're feeling fine. You're ready to take a look at question 21 on our grade 7 Gauss paper. In the addition shown, P and Q each represent single digits, and the sum is 1000, P100, PT7. What is P plus Q? Okay. So this is actually, I like these sorts of puzzles. They can be nice. You can be given them not just in math contests, but I find them in little puzzle books. They're kind of fun things. So what do we do? What should we approach? Or how should we approach? So we know the sum is supposed to be 77p. So it's three things. 77p, 6qp, and qqp. And it adds up to 1pp7. Okay. So I find with these sorts of puzzles, it's best to approach one of two ways. Either slowly work your way in and say, all right, well, I know the last edition was 7, 6q. Now maybe we carried something over from this sum. Maybe a 1, maybe even a 2, because we're adding up three things. But if you're adding up three single digits, the best you could ever get is 27, so you'll never carry 3 if you've added up three things. Just a little thing to keep in mind. Maybe we've carried nothing at all. But we know whatever this sum is with carries is 7, 6q, maybe something else, ends with a p, and has to carry over a 1 into this column. Now 7 and 6 are already 13. So if q were something like 7, 13 plus 7, it'd be 20. We'd be carrying over a 2. How would we get a 1 over here? So that tells me that q is at most something like 6. And that's a great approach. Okay? You work in this way, you can realize, 6 has to be bigger than or equal to q. And if there was something carried over, then that makes q even less. Okay? So that's one approach. So I'm going to keep that off to the side. Another way to do it is to sort of approach this way. Okay? And say, the single digits. Now, I like starting with single digits for a question like this, for a puzzle like this, because there's no worry about, did I carry over a 1? Did I carry over a 2? There's nothing to carry, because this is where you start adding. So I know p plus p plus p isn't 7. Obviously, 3 p's is not 7. There's no way that could work. But I know that 3 p's ends in 7. So I've got some multiple of p, or some multiple of 3, and it ends in a 7? Well, how many multiples of 3 end in a 7? Well, if p were a single digit, so p could be 1, 2, 3, I guess p could be 0. So we'll add that in. But it doesn't take too long, and maybe some of you are able to jump ahead and work this out. But if I say, all right, maybe p is a 5, what would 3p be? Well, it'd be 15. That doesn't end with a 7. And you can keep doing it. Eventually, you'll get that 3 times 9 is 27, so that means p has to be a 9. Okay? And either you're familiar with your multiples of 3 or you work out a tiny little chart like this. P has to be a single digit, so this is all that we could have. You realize, this is the only way to do it. So 3p has to be 27, p has to be 9, and suddenly I can fill in a whole bunch of things. I now know what p is. Right? So 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. 3 nines adds up to 27. You place the 7 there, you carry the 2. And now you might look at this column, or you might come back to this column now. I still don't quite know if anything's carried over here, so I would, again, probably leave that a little bit. But in a future question that was similar, maybe working from this side would help a bit more. Okay? But if we just look at this second column now, 2 plus 7 plus 2 copies of q isn't necessarily 9, but it ends in a 9. Right? Okay? So, well, 2 and 7 is 9. And 9 plus an even number ends in a 9. What could we possibly have? And you could make another similar chart like this one over here for P, but for Q. Okay? But it's either going to be 9 or 19. And so if it's 9, if 9 plus 2q is 9, then that means 2q has to be a 0. If 9 plus 2q is 19, then 2q has to be a 10. And so q would have to be a 0 or a 5. Now, both of those are allowed. Do both of those work? What if I put in 0 for q? Well, you'll get 2 plus 7 plus 0 is the 9 that we seek, so great, that works. Nothing is carried. You get 7 plus 6 is 13, so you should get a 3 and a 1. That doesn't work. Okay. So let's try the other one. Okay, let's try q is 5. 2 plus 7 plus 5 is 19. Carry a 1. Got this 9 down here. That's what we want. 1 and 7 is 8. Plus 6 is 14. Plus 5 is 19. And that's exactly what we've got here. So q is 5. P is 9. And what did they ask for? They asked for P plus Q. So that'll be 9 plus 5. 14. Is 14 one of the possible answers? It certainly is. Waiting right there. C. C is what we're going to bubble in. And now we take a little bit of pride in our accomplishments. And we move on to question number 22. And I will see you for that next time.